Just finished recording 2 podcasts, and I thought I would let you know Troy Stecher is a Leaf! And some other little news. After it was reported that Troy Stecher would be signing for $1 to $1.5 million, CJ reports can confirm Troy Stecher is signing a 2-year extension with the Leafs, carrying a $1.35 million AAV. Rick Dhaliwal and Elliot Friedman were on it. Also relevant, while the Leafs were qualifying restricted free agents, Matias Maccelli, not one of them. CJ saying Matias Maccelli will not be receiving a qualifying offer from the Leafs today, making him an unrestricted free agent per sources. They might lose this player. All right, so here's what's going on. By 5 p.m. today, if you have a restricted free agent, you need to send them a qualifying offer before 5 p.m. If you do send them a qualifying offer of X amount of dollars, basically the player can accept it and then you agree to a deal. Or it's not necessarily accepted, but you have qualified them, which means you keep their restricted free agent rights. If you keep their restricted free agent rights, you keep their rights all throughout the summer and no one else can sign them without offer sheeting them. And even if they were to offer sheet them, you would maintain some control in that situation. That's basically what's going on. If you don't qualify them, you risk losing them to unrestricted free agency. For example, Pontus Holmberg was a restricted free agent last year. Leafs didn't qualify him, and he got scooped up by the Tampa Bay Lightning, which objectively was a mistake. Holmberg ended up playing for the Swedish Olympic team. He was a very effective player for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Maybe Tampa gets out of the first round if Holmberg's not hurt. He was very effective for them. I'm serious. I know what he was here, and it was frustrating at times, but with the cap going up the way it is, he was at least worth what Tampa's given him, and the Leafs could have used him this past year and could probably use him this upcoming year. This year's potential version of that is Matias Maccelli, who is not receiving a qualifying offer. Now, Maccelli's qualifying offer is astronomical. Brad Treliving traded for him for a 3rd-round pick. There were conditions on the pick. If he gets over 50 points, then it's upgraded. This is the kind of potential that this player has. He has scored over 50 points in the NHL before. He did it with Utah. Or was it Arizona? It was that team. You know what I mean. Still young enough that he's a restricted free agent, but the qualifying offer that the Leafs would have to extend him is over $4 million. Whether you like this player or not, I don't think that makes sense. Now, in theory, what the Leafs could do here, they don't offer him a qualifying offer, but what they could do is say, hey, Matias, we'd like to give you a deal where you make $2.5 million for the next 3 years, or we'll give you $3 million for the next 2 years, something along those lines, which is maybe a more reasonable cap hit, and also the player gets some term out of it. It's not impossible that the Leafs end up keeping this guy, but as of right now, he's going to hit free agency and anyone can have him. Matias Maccelli's a funny player, man. A lot of the analytics favor him. A lot of video does not. He was a frustrating player to watch on a number of nights. And then there were also a number of nights where you're like, this is one of the most talented players on the ice. In 71 games with the Leafs, because he was healthy scratch for like a month, he ended with 14 goals, 25 assists for 39 points. Here's a list of players on the Leafs who had more points than that. William Nylander, John Tavares, Matthew Knies, Austin Matthews. That's the entire list. So yeah, it's 39 points. It might not jump off the page at you. And yeah, last year's Leafs sucked. This guy was a top 5 scorer on an NHL team, and he's about to become a free agent. In this year's free agency class, Matias Maccelli might get paid, man. It's not totally out of the realm of possibility he could get at least his qualifying offer in free agency. And maybe the Leafs know that, and maybe he knows that. I don't know. I'm not totally sure. I would like him to be a Leaf for another year, but not at that number. What do you think? Leave a comment in the comment box down below. Now, here's what else the Leafs have done. Nick Robertson, who is still a restricted free agent, it feels like he's heading on to his 5th NHL contract. He was qualified by the Leafs, which means they get to retain his restricted free agent rights and they get to keep negotiating with him. And Jacob Quillen, Calder Cup champion Jacob Quillen, received a qualifying offer from the Leafs as well. Listen, his stint with the Leafs was abysmal. He was buried on the 4th line. This is an offensive player. He killed it for the Toronto Marlies this season, all regular season and in the playoffs, to the point where they won a Calder Cup championship. In the NHL, in the minutes that he was given, in 23 games, he had a goal, and 2 assists. I'm honestly surprised he reached 3 points. I legitimately thought before I looked at this it was less. Callie Yarncroke had 8. You didn't need to say that, Steve. That was rude. You didn't have to say that. Joseph Woll had 1. Jacob Quillen had as many points as Sammy Blais. Do you remember Sammy Blais? Some of you don't even remember he was a Leaf last season. He only played 8 games. But he's a Calder Cup champion, and I'm interested to see what Jacob Quillen is able to accomplish under Jim Hiller and the new look Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, Troy Stecher. 2-year deal, $1.35 million. And it's funny, some habits die hard. Brad Treliving loved offering a $1.35 million contract out to guys. If I'm not mistaken, both Simone Benoit and Steven Lorentz got that. And wasn't that Ryan Reeves' deal as well? Well, now that's what Troy Stecher gets. As a right-handed defenseman, and right-handed defensemen are at a premium, as a guy who has energy, as a guy who is capable of moving the puck, as a guy who looked pretty gosh darn good for the Leafs and even played in their top 4 at times, that is a very, very, very reasonable number. How did Troy Stecher's season end in Toronto? It ended as abysmally as everyone else's, and I'm not overly influenced by that. I'm interested in this guy staying with the team as a 6 or 7, maybe even 8 defenseman on a team that is better at moving the puck. Here's the thing with Stecher. If you lose him, you lose him. Maybe he ends up getting waived down the line. Maybe you end up trading him in a deal that's rather underwhelming because he doesn't work out. But right now, with the performance that he had last season and in the situation that he's heading into, there's more than enough reason to believe that Stecher should have some success under Hiller and this new look group. He's at least worth giving this contract a shot. If it doesn't work out, you can waive him, you can bury him, you'd probably be able to trade him. But generally, I think you should sign guys who you plan on playing. And I think Stecher is going to play. So, little bit more business getting done in Toronto. And all of a sudden, that bolsters the third pair, which right now, if you go on Puckpedia, has Philip Myers penciled in there. Now, you put in Stecher. Does it look better? Probably. Does it look better enough? Probably not. We're still very early in this offseason. July 1st at noon is when free agency opens, and that is mere hours away. The Leafs are rumored to be in on still a potential Riley deal. They're looking at potentially Sergei Bobrovsky. Who knows who else they're looking at? Oh, the Zach Werenski stuff. Holy cow. What is this team going to look like in a few days? Let me know in the comments down below. For now, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell your friends. John Chaika. It's giving us something to nibble on. Giving us the Chakenator. I'll stop. That was you horseshoed that in, Steve. Wrap the video. That's enough.